Welcome back to the Path of Zen. Today we're talking about the R word. So, what is up with all of these Zen priests? Something that a lot of people noticed when they get interested in Zen, that there's this role called the priest. And if you were to venture into a Zen church, you will find that there is a officiant, a priest, who is often known as the Roshi or teacher, and that they perform the ritual and the offerings to the Buddha while the rest of the congregation watches. Now, those who were raised Catholic or in Christian churches that followed Catholicism, they will see a strikingly similar position in where the Zen priests are the intermediary, that they perform the ceremony for your blessings and benefits. Now, this particular position of having a priest in Buddhism is only found in Japan. You don't really see this too much outside of Japan. You will find that there are monks and that there are orders of monks or bhikkhus, but they generally are not considered priests. So only Japan has the priest. And like I said, you don't really see this in the Tibetan traditions and definitely not in Theravada. So one thing that is worth bringing up is that the Japanese priests are paid by their parishioners. And those would be the families within the village, and they're usually prominent families within the village. And these would be mostly, rural villages within Japan. And they pay the Zen priest to perform, annual memorial remembrances. Usually it's for deceased family members, whereas part, if not all of their ashes, are interned in the temple. So a lot of these Japanese temples are mausoleums, or reliquaries in where the dead are kept. Also, they pay the Zen priest for the daily prayers and asking blessings on behalf of the families, the parishioners. So, in short, being a Zen priest is a job with an office, and the office is the temple. And this is Japanese Zen. People that are well aware of Japanese culture, they know that these sort of things happen. Where Japan is a very different culture and society than the rest of Asia, and really different than that of Western America. What is the metaphysics of Buddhist religiosity? And this is kind of saying, what exactly are Buddhists being religious about? I mean, one can study the philosophy and one can study the idea of what are the teachings getting to. But what is the actual religious nexus? Where is this religion coming in? So essentially, the religion is to summon the great bodhisattvas who bestow blessings to all. And there's a pantheon of great and minor bodhisattvas that can be called upon for various conditions and cases. And If you go to Japan, you will find a whole variety of bodhisattva cults. Everything from Maitreya to Kannon. There's Fudo. There's other minor bodhisattvas that are called upon. So these are part of the religion. It's a pantheon. And these are not necessarily considered gods. The bodhisattvas are just more as essences or spirits. Now, the Tibetan Buddhism is very much known for the rituals that will summon a bodhisattva or to appease a demon. This is one of the more interesting aspects of the Tibetan religion, in that a demon will be called upon to feast or to be satisfied, so that, to not take out its wrath on the people. So Theravada also makes offerings to the Buddha, who is a bodhisattva, and the great bodhisattvas, for the merit for themselves, but also for those who support them. Again, when a layman, which is anybody who is not a disciple of the Buddha, supports a disciple, the Theravada bhikkhu will often make a chant for them to create merit. And as the laymen support the bhikkhus create merit by making offerings to the bodhisattvas, and this is the chain. And again, you kind of see this in early European religion, especially with Catholicism, in where the chain goes from the common person all the way up the line to the popes and the cardinals and whatnot, in where the support of the local church clergy goes all the way upwards to the Pope, and this is the chain of merit, the chain of holy connection. So, who is this all for? Is it for the sake of all beings, or is it the sake for oneself? One's own merits and karma are important, and often it can appear that in Buddhism it's about yourself. It's about you. And when one makes offerings to a great bodhisattva, the offering benefits all in the presence of the bodhisattvas. That affects everyone. So it is about you, about your own merit, and about your own progression within the Buddha sphere. But it's also when you save yourself, you save others. And that is overall the bodhisattva vehicle. And it's the Mahayana. Theravada takes a more of an intense view of the self, and works on the merit to cleanse oneself. They call it Hinayana as the lesser path, but it really means the path less taken. It's not, doesn't mean it's lower than Mahayana. It just means it's a path less taken. So the bhikkhuhood is the path less taken. A lot of people don't delve that deep into the teachings of the Buddha or into the discipleship. So let's go to the question of, does one need to be religious to be a Buddhist? And the answer is yes. It would be like a Catholic saying that they don't need to believe in God and the saints to be a Catholic. So, if somebody says, well, I'm a Christian, but I don't believe in Jesus and God, that's non sequitur. It's like, dude, just because you read the Bible doesn't make you a Christian. So that's the same thing with Buddhism. Just because one reads Buddhist sutras and commentaries and books on Zen doesn't make them a Buddhist. It doesn't make them a Zen practitioner. These are delineations that need to be aware of, and you need to say, okay, not everybody is going to become a devotee. That's actually a very difficult position to be in. To be religious to the Buddhist realm, thus to make the offerings to the great bodhisattvas, to make the offerings to the minor bodhisattvas, to do this not only for yourself but for all humankind, becomes something. It is something that you really have to pay attention to and make the effort for, because nobody's going to pay you. This is not like Japan, in where it's a job. Nobody pays you for this. And you see that a lot in other countries where the clergy and the religion is not state supported. It's not ingrained into the society, and there is not really a body of parishioners. So, is this all mumbo jumbo? Is it all just smoke and mirrors, or is there actually something to this? If you went to a Tibetan puja, as they call them, a ceremony, or have gone to a Zen center and have seen a Zen service, it all seems like witchcraft. It seems that there is summoning of great entities, there are appeasing of demons, and there is this, calling upon beings who exist outside of space and time. It seems like some fantasy story or some superstitious belief being acted out. And a lot of this goes into, so you expect me to believe that there are invisible people in the sky who, if I call upon, will benefit me. And it seems utterly ridiculous, because it's like, okay, well, show me this. Show me the Bodhisattva. Show me this Buddha. Show me these Buddha fields. I want to see this. We say this from the position of our humanness. Yet we know that our very humanness is limited. We have a limited perception that cannot know everything. Even our very highly developed sciences and the tools that we have are known to be limited. There's still a lot that is out there that cannot be measured, that cannot be seen by our tools, though we know it's there because it has effects. We say, well, we know there's something out there because it's affecting something, but we don't know what it is. So that's the mystery. But yet it seems that our own soul is able to unlock this mystery if we were to penetrate our soul. And this is the doorway. The Buddhist doorway is to go through your own soul to solve the mystery. So let's get to the talking about what are we talking about? What are we dealing with here when we're talking about the unseen, the unknown, that which cannot be measured, that which cannot be detected by the sciences or by our tools, that which is beyond our human perception. So are they gods? Are they angels? Are they demons? Well, for it all seems that the Buddhist pantheon, it's all of that. And yet we are told they are also on the path too. Well, wait a minute. Just like us, they are seeking liberation from samsara. So we start to understand that we're not really talking about gods, or we're not talking about, where we want to go. What we're really talking about are different dimensions, different orders, different magnitudes of being. The formless, the higher magnitudes, higher, different dimensions, dimensionalities. and that the cycles of samsara flow through all of those. So, yes, a bodhisattva, a bodhisattva of compassion, a bodhisattva of courage, a bodhisattva of determination, a bodhisattva of bravery. These are essences or aspects that we as humans can tap into, but we can't measure bravery, we can't measure compassion, we can't build a tool to detect it. There's no e-meter for courage. So these are the mysteries, and we as the Buddhists call upon these great bodhisattvas to help us, oh, give me courage, or let compassion rain down on those who are having hard times. So this is what that's really all getting down to. And these essences, these aspects of humanity, are often personalized, or they're given names. They're given various iconry or symbols or sounds or a color. And that's more or less done as a teaching tool, but also to remind people of the existence. So like in Japan, there's a lot of statues to Kannon. You can go out into the provinces and you would find a little shrine to Kannon and leftovers of people's offerings. And this is something that, a lot of times people will go pray to Kannon because somebody's having a hard time, or somebody's sick, or somebody is needing help. In the greater temples, you have statues and icons to other bodhisattvas, that of courage, and that of wisdom, and that of endurance. So we kind of say, well, we're not really talking about like a being named Joe out there that we pray to. We're mostly talking about an essence that is out there that we all tap into and that we all call upon from time to time for our own need, but also for the need of others, maybe for the need of your village, or the need of your family, or the need of your country. Other Buddhas that are called upon, the Buddha of the past, the Buddha of the current Buddha, which is Shakyamuni, and the Buddha of the future, which is Maitreya, are all part of the pantheon. So I have been trying to keep these videos short, for it seems that few are watching beyond the 4-minute mark these days, and that just seems to be how the world is these days. Nobody has an attention span beyond a few minutes. So to summarize, Buddhism is a religion. Zen may not be a religion. Zen may be more of a philosophy. It may be more of a way of life. It may be more of a style. And Zen, much like Stoicism, that has an incredibly amount in common, tends to be a way to live your life that becomes a door to Buddhism, to the teachings of Shakyamuni, to the teachings of the Buddhas. And those that are want to dive deep, they will find that just as there's a Greek connection to Buddhism, there is a Stoic connection to Zen. So what I am focusing on in this talk, and have been focusing, is the R word, in which the R word now means religion, because that seems to have been dropped out. A lot of Westerners who may go to a Buddhist temple or to a Zen temple, and they look at it as, oh, it's just groovy meditation, man, or it's Oh, I'm just there to practice compassion, or I'm just there to learn how to have inner peace. The religion just got completely washed out of it. So, for those who have devoted themselves to Buddhism, all of them have said that one can only come to a certain point and where they have to embrace the religion or walk away. Now, this I have seen myself. I have known people that have been years, if not decades, involved in Zen or Theravada or Vajrayana, who they just one day disappear. And when I found them out in the wilds, out in the brambles, and I said, well, what happened? And they just said, when it came down to it, they just realized that they just could not believe in the religion. It was just not there for them. They liked the metaphysics, they liked the teachings, they liked this idea of no self and this ideas of interdependence and all of the stuff that you find in Greek philosophy and Stoicism. But this religion, this religion of the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas was just a bit too much. So they leave and they just silently drop out. Yet those that actually stay because they've embraced the religion, it's perhaps they have seen something. Something through their soul sparked, something deep within them touched something. And now they realize that there is far more out there, far more beyond than just what the limited human perception can perceive, far more than our sciences and the fantastic tools that we have can know. And they realize that the soul, their essence, that which makes them them, is the doorway. Because if you think about it for a moment here, we all live in the same culture, more or less, and we all come from families and humans. And the question is, well, if I was to be, born like 200 other people and raised like them and gone to school like them, we should all be thinking the same. We should all be dressing the same, all be doing the same thing, all have the same outlooks and the same kind of families and the same kind of interactions and desires. But we don't. It becomes very interesting how a lot of us have different likes, different tastes, different ideas, different wants and needs. And sometimes just completely different views and different personalities that are puzzling as to where did that come from? Why is this person who was raised and went to the same schools and taught the same things that I was taught very different? What is that? So it is a testament that conditioning and the brainwashing that is put upon us from the day that you pop out of your mother's womb isn't necessarily all that you are, isn't necessarily what defines you. And there is that part of you which says, I am not just a program that was written. I am not just a script that somebody else has written down for me. Because you see through it, and you see that there is more. You see that that the world that wants you to go in a certain direction is not the world that you have any passion for. So in all of this, the point of religion is when one knows of one's own soul. They know it. They know that that's the door. That is where it has to be. And this is where Buddhism really begins. And I know a lot of people will jump up and down and say Buddhism teaches there is no soul, which is absolutely not true. Those people that say that are not Buddhist. They are secularist. They are atheist, and a lot of them, they have read Buddhist materials, but they are not Buddhist. This is something that has been brought up a lot of times about these scholars and these people that are translators. I believe it was J.C. Cleary that brought out the fact that he and his brother are being paid to do their translation work by foundations. And these foundations had requirements, or they had particular views that they wanted. And one of them was that the books they were creating had to be more accessible to the general public. And so dropping out the religion and dropping out the soul, dropping out this idea that this is a spiritual and religious quest, bringing a more secular Buddhism to the world sells books. And I get it. If you can't sell the book, or there's not all that much interest in the book, or the book is viewed as religious hocus pocus, or just religiosity, then there's not going to be much of an audience there. And when there's no audience, then the investors cannot get their money back. They're not going to make money. And this is a topic that a lot of researchers and a lot of other academics bring up, is that those that are funding the research projects, the translations, they have agendas. And if what you're doing is not within their agenda, then your works are not going to be published, and you are not going to be hired to do translations or do any work at all or do any research. And then you're just sort of left on your own to fend for yourself. It's like Dr. Tony Page. He has done some very excellent work on the Nirvana Sutra, but because it points to a religion and a soul with a religiosity attached to it, nobody wants to touch his works because it is deemed as unsellable. That the American public won't be amused by it. It's not secular enough. It becomes a religion, and they're like, people don't want religion these days. They want science. They want facts. They want something they could put in their hand and call it done. They want to be able to, sell it as, as entertainment. That's the best I can say about it. Is Buddhism repackaged to become entertaining stories, to become just the same thing as the Greek reader, to become something that's just surface level, because nobody really wants you to believe this stuff, do they? You might go against the programming. You might actually break your conditioning and see through the mind control. Can't have that now, can we? All right. Well, this is the end of my talk. I probably went over the 4-minute mark. So those that made it through to the end, congratulations. You have an attention span longer than a goldfish. Those of you that I dropped off earlier, well, you're not going to hear these words, so take care. Bye.